What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and today I'm going to talk about Leeds United, the team with the American manager, a couple American midfielders, and probably the hopes of a nation having respect in the Premier League moving forward. And this is a Leeds team that just signed Brenden Aaronson, and looks like Tyler Adams is going to be confirmed within days. And the team is looking pretty different from last year. They're going to be losing Calvin Phillips to a transfer and losing Rafinha, possibly some more players, getting Patrick Bamford back from injury, hopefully. And it's looking like a very different team. But the question remains, will they be able to stay up? And will they be in a relegation battle again? And last year, Leeds, they got hit by second season syndrome pretty hard. And they had one of the worst defenses I think I've ever seen in the Premier League. And somehow managed to stay up with it. So in response to that, Jesse Marsch has tried to reinforce his squad. I'm going to talk a little bit about the signings that he made, including the two American players, Brenden Aaronson and Tyler Adams. And Aaronson's just a signing that makes sense. He's played with March before, and he really fits the style of play that Leeds plays with, like the high pressing style, really getting at the team. I believe he's technical enough, and it's just kind of a perfect fit. He's somebody who they do play with the 10 sometimes, so he can play in his natural position. He's also shown ability to drop in and play as an 8, play out wide, especially if they want to go to a 4-4-2. I can see Brenden Aaronson doing very well in that formation. And I think it's just a good move. You can obviously, can't see too much. Like, he's going from Austria to the Premier League. That is tough to adjust, but RB Salzburg players have a pretty good track record. I mean, Daka came in and started performing pretty well with Leicester City. Minamino did decently with Liverpool. And then Sadio Mane hit the ground running. Like, I think that those players came in and showed their talent level right away. Like, Minamino didn't light the world on fire. Daka probably hasn't replaced Jamie Vardy yet, but like, they made a pretty quick transition. And I think Aaronson can do the same, and I think he can contribute to Leeds right away. And with the system, with the manager, I'm expecting him to do pretty well. And for that matter, same with Remus Christensen, who they signed. He should come in and be an upgrade right away at right back. He's another player coming in from RB Salzburg who's worked with Jesse Marsch before. He's not just doing this with American players, he can also sign others. But I think, while Ayling and Stuart Dallas, like, they were versatile players, I don't really think that they were Premier League quality. And adding a really nice right back who could be a strong player for them and just raise the quality of the team throughout, I think that's going to be great for the Leeds team. Then we got Tyler Adams, and I think people get a little bit too caught up on, can he replace Calvin Phillips? And I don't really think that matters. Calvin Phillips, he played 16 games in defensive mid as a starter last season, a couple as a center back, a couple off the bench, but I forget replacing Calvin Phillips. The question is just, is Tyler Adams a good player? And the answer to that is yes. I think he's still an upgrade on a lot of the championship level players who are still left in the lead squad. He's done great work defensively. While he's not perfect on the ball, he's not a liability or anything either. And with Leeds' style of play, he might do a lot more defensive work, and I think that his style of play works out for this Leeds team. He's worked with Jesse Marsch before, and I think that he's somebody who can do very well in this team. Is he better than Calvin Phillips? Of course not, but that's not what he's brought in to be. He's not here to replace somebody. He's here to just... They're spending the money they earned by selling a really good player to make the rest of the squad a better place. And I think Tyler Adams is just a part of that. And alongside that, he's going to be playing with Marc Roca, who is more of a playmaking midfielder. And he's someone who I don't really see fitting into Leeds' style of play. He's more of like a deep-lying playmaker. Maybe he'll play a little bit forward. Like, he's a talented guy, but it's kind of a weird signing for how they set up. You can't really project how he'll do until you see him in the midfield, but I think he'll play alongside Tyler Adams. They kind of complement each other. Adams a bit more of a destroyer, Roca a bit more creative, and I think that'll be an interesting combination. They also signed Darko Goyabi, who seems like a promising player, but he hasn't played in the first team before. Of a comparison I can think of from the bit I've seen is he seems a little bit like a Sander Berg, who I like as a player, but I doubt that starts in the Premier League this season. And lastly, we got the signing of Luis Sinistra, who, I feel like I butcher that name, Sinistera, who it seems all but confirmed like Tyler Adams, and he had a very good season recently at Hoffenheim, picked up 12 goals, and I think he's kind of similar to Tyler Adams. Is he going to replace Rafinha? No, but is he a Premier League level player who can come in and do well? I think he's a quality player. I think he's going to be good enough, and might even be able to replace Rafinha's goal contributions. It's going to be tough, but I think he's a very good player, and I think the Leeds can get off to a pretty strong start with this team. But so right now, potential lineup I'd say is like Melia in goal, maybe Koch and Llorente at the back, Christensen right back. You still have Firpo at left back, and the defense really hasn't gotten much better. Maybe Adams and Roca in midfield. Luis with Aaronson and Harrison as the kind of like 3-line, like the wing, 10, other wing. Then Patrick Bamford up top. You can have a glitch in there. You probably have Daniel James starting, maybe instead of Aaronson. Maybe it's like a 4-4-2, I don't know. But it seems like a pretty good team, but there are a couple of issues. And I mentioned getting off to a good start, and this team does have the capability of doing that. But they brought in a lot of players, and none of them have Premier League experience. And only 2 have top 5 league experience, and neither of them were starting last year, in Adams and Roca. So it's going to be tough to adjust right away to like the physicality, the speed of play of the best league in the world, and they could find themselves in a hole really quickly if they do not hit the ground running, which is going to be tough to do. And on top of that, I think a big problem they had last year is Bamford was out the whole season, just about, and they didn't have a good backup for him, and they haven't signed a replacement for Bamford yet, should he go down. And honestly, even if he does stay healthy, Bamford really hasn't shown that he isn't a one-season wonder yet. So if you don't get goals from Bamford, the 11 goals you got from Rafinha, that's not going to be there. Like, they have to cross their fingers, hope Bamford gets back to form, stays healthy, and you get probably 10 goals, or probably like 15 goals combined from Harrison, Luis, Daniel James, Aaronson, and I'm not too sure how likely that is. So it is going to be tough, and the defense hasn't exactly gotten too much better. I mean, I like the signing of Christensen, but it's still pretty similar, and the defensive midfield in front of it hasn't gotten too much better. So it's going to be tough, and I see them in a relegation battle for sure. But I don't think they're favorites to go down just yet. You still have the 3 promoted teams, and all of them basically have the same issue as Leeds with the striker. Like, Mitrovic is going to have to perform in the Premier League, which he got 10 goals before, but that's kind of up in the air. He has to get up to a really good start and have confidence, and if he doesn't do that, then he could be in trouble. Dominic Solanke with Bournemouth, I don't think he's proven himself to be a Premier League level player yet, but he has only gotten better. They do have Kiefer Moore off the bench as well, but nobody really reliable. Same with Nottingham Forest. I mean, maybe Anouami, that's this new signing from the Bundesliga. He was pretty good last year. Will be able to translate to the Premier League. And then Brentford's another team who I think might get second season syndrome big time. I don't feel like people have been talking about that too much, but they are losing Aaronson, and if Tony doesn't perform very well, they're going to be in pretty deep, or Tooney doesn't perform very well, they're going to be in pretty deep trouble. And then you could still have an Everton, a Southampton, maybe some other team end up struggling, and I do see Leeds being in a relegation battle, but at this point, I feel like they are not a favorite to go down, and I am expecting them to stay up. They should be able to make a couple more signings, reinforce the team even further, and I think it's looking pretty good. Now, it is going to be tough. It is very tough to stay in the Premier League, but this team does now have experience with the relegation battle, and I think they're going to be good enough to stay up. What they're doing is every signing they make is helping the team get more stability, because I feel like they had too many championship-level players who carried in some good form into the season where their first season in the Premier League. And then last year, you could kind of see that form, the confidence go away, and, no offense, but a lot of players in that team weren't Premier League quality. They were more championship-level players. So now they're just bringing in players with a lot of just skill, ability, and just raising the level of play of the entire team, and I think that helps them stay in the Premier League. So yeah, I think the Leeds will be able to stay up right now. It's going to be tough moving forward, but if everything goes right for them, if they're able to pick up the goals, I think they'll be able to stay up. And yeah, that's all I have to talk about right now. See you.